I'm an earthworm woman. In the mornings, I fill my tanks by breathing the energy of the sea and tasting the power of the sun penetrating my skin. There's an air of no care, which comes with age, and I hold my head up proudly, liking who I've become. I'm not afraid of smells, or dirt, or to walk barefoot across the stones. Sometimes I wade through the shallow water just to embrace its fluid element, my hair often crazy and loose, being pulled by and flying in the wind. I can be glamorous if I want to, although makeup was never my thing. And I've learnt that life is for living, not fearing, and so I absorb it like a sponge. Good evening, everyone. This is Earthwormwoman of an evening, I'll call it, because I'm taking over. Well, not taking over. I'm replacing the Cardi Girls tonight, and perhaps every alternate Tuesday once I get back next week. So they'll do next week. But I've got a lovely, beautiful guest for tonight, and I love it because sometimes magical things, I don't know if it's magical, synchronicical, whatever the word is, synchronicity happens. And I'll just explain why that is in connection with this person. I've been feeling the last couple of days just like a bit down, a bit all over the place, a bit kind of lost, and for no reason really. And just, I'm not usually like that. I'm very, I usually try and keep myself very up, and underneath it all, I do think positively, but I kept pulling myself back and saying, you got no right to be like that. You don't, no. Yeah, I have to wear the hat because it's cold in Melbourne, but I'm also feeling a bit warm. I'm trying to make myself feel good. Anyway, so I've been feeling that, and the thing of pulling yourself back and thinking, no, but you don't have any reason to be like that. And you can't be in that. You can't sit in that for a long time, but you're allowed to do it. And then I asked Iggy, who I'm going to bring on in a second, to come on, and I read all her page and all the beautiful things. There she is. Some people will probably remember this lovely woman from Australia. She's in Berlin tonight. But all her things were around the same stuff about allowing to be vulnerable, and, et cetera, et cetera. But we'll get to that in a minute, because do you live in Berlin now? So I'll just say welcome for you first of all. Are you living back over there now, or are you visiting?
It's extended visit.
Extended visit, yes. Now, I wanted you just to go into what's been going on with you. You've obviously, you're a warrior woman. You're a freedom fighter, because I met you first of all at Epic, and I was like actually taken back by your beauty. You're just an incredible looking human, and I had to look right up because I think you're about 6 foot, maybe. And yeah, so tell me about what's going on with you. However you want to do it.
Well, first of all, I'm very humbled and grateful to be able to share and co-create with you, share my story, and hopefully through my story, people find inspiration, empowerment, and the permission to be vulnerable and finding their strength in vulnerability, because society has taught us, raised us, conditioned us that vulnerability is it's weak, it's
Mm.
not appropriate, and we should or we shouldn't, all these shoulds and shouldn'ts, and my story really began at birth, believe
Mm.
it or not. Like
Yeah.
cancer, well, the journey in Berlin, actually, I am in Berlin because I'm receiving some high-end alternative cancer treatment. It's not the first time that I receive some sort of treatment like this in Berlin.
Wow.
In Australia, I have been able to source treatment that feels aligned with me, with my values, because I believe that our immune system and our health is gonna be the one key element that is gonna help us to thrive. And with
Yeah,
conventional medicine, as you know, it's
absolutely. I agree. Yeah, yeah. No, just saying that that's I think a lot of people are thinking that way. How can we constantly keep ourselves at a level of health? But
yeah,
yes, keep going. Good
yeah.
evening,
So,
Victoria.
where do I start? Like, basically, I was born in the 80s, and I was born into a Turkish family in Berlin. So my
Mm,
home
okay.
is
Yeah.
actually Berlin. I've been living in Australia, in Sydney, for the past nearly 20 years. So
Mm.
I feel at my home now. I have my daughter. I have my hood. The coffee shop knows what I like to have, what
Yeah.
beverage I
Yeah.
like to drink. I have my tribe, and um, but when I was growing up in Berlin, there was a lot of suppression. There was a lot of playing small. There was a lot of pretending. There was a lot of people pleasing from my side. And I didn't know who I was. And I was physically always very, very strong.
Mm.
And like, I'm 41 years old. And I think I had a cold in my life like 5 times, including,
Yeah.
all these colds that in the
Wow.
last few
Wow.
years have been happening. So I always recovered really fast from anything. And I always thought that I was superwoman because my body was regenerating and healing so
Mm.
fast. And then when I was about 18 or 19 years old, I had a boyfriend who died of cancer. And he
Wow.
literally died in my arms.
Oh
And
gosh.
3 years later, my mom died of cancer. And that was the first time where I felt so hopeless, where I felt like, okay, there is no solution to this. Like, they're gone. Like, it's not like that I can't fix this, because I always learned
Mm.
we can fix things. And
How
then
old were you when your mum died? Oh, you
33,
said about 20 or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
23. Yeah,
23.
I'm 41 now. And then about 6 years ago, uh, so I tell you my pre-story because I want you to be aware that I lived a pretentious life.
A
From the outside,
pretentious life.
yeah,
Wow.
from the outside, it looked like I've got it all together. It looked like I'm happy. A lot of people would say I'm this radiant, happy, smiley, positive. Yeah,
Yes.
but inside, I had a lot of emotional wounds that I didn't
Mm.
attend to. I didn't even know didn't know that that was important, and I didn't have the tools back in the day because I wasn't aware of them.
Mm.
But when I was diagnosed, when I was in 2000 and what is it? I can't remember. 6 years ago, whatever that is,
Mm.
2019,
19. Yep.
2019, first diagnosis. And when the doctor told me, I had a few symptoms, and when the doctor told me that it was cancer, breast cancer, there was a part of me that was not surprised.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's incredible. I just want to go back to 1 second to
Sure.
what you're talking about with feeling like you were pretentious.
Yeah.
So you're doing exactly what you're talking about. You were walking around feeling like um, this person, giving off this person, but that really wasn't you. And I wonder what it was that didn't allow you to actually just be yourself. I mean, of course, kids when they're younger go through times when they're trying to fit in all the time and they change. But you must have got to such a point. Sorry.
I think I
Um,
was in so many different worlds, Rohanna. Like, my family is Turkish/Islamic background,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yes.
I was born and raised in Berlin,
I
so I
mean,
was going to school with Germans who had a
mm,
completely different culture. And then I
yeah,
was a girl as well. I have a brother, and I'm a girl, obviously. And I
mm,
saw the difference in how society was perceiving my brother versus
yeah.
perceiving me. And I always like the biggest wound, the biggest emotional wound, the biggest biggest emotional wound that I was aware of that was driving me insane, emotionally insane, was not belonging. And I now work
Mm,
with a lot of women. I'm a coach, and
mm.
the not belonging wound is quite present amongst
I
us.
I can relate to that,
Mm,
not belonging. I mean, I think a lot of people who have gone our way felt like that
yeah,
anyway,
especially our
but
way.
we're always trying to feel, the fitting in thing, and I know about Islam because my name is Islamic. My parents became Muslims when I was 5, even though my mother's Jewish, and, and it's so there may have been something, so it's just you and your brother. It may have
Yeah,
even been something around that, seeing you lost your mum, that you were almost wanting to be, to fit in that way, to be
yeah.
a male even.
Anywhere where I could change and tweak a little bit of who I was just to fit in, just not just like the aim wasn't to fit in, the aim was to have a sense of belonging.
Sense of yeah,
I
yeah.
just wanted to belong, and I would do that for each and every price, and
Mm,
including forgetting who I actually am in my essence. Like I
mm,
again, like I didn't have the tools. I didn't even know because, like, we think this is us. We think like our body is and the name on the passport, or like a number, or like how society treats you, or you are the daughter of this person. You think
yeah,
this is who you are. And if I learned anything from this incredible, profound, life shattering healing journey, is I found who I am actually.
that's interesting. The second person in the last week that has said that line around, we've got this name or whatever, but is it us? Or, the real essence of us is our soul,
Yeah.
or our internal. Yeah.
And then living from that place, from
Yeah.
soul place,
Yes.
rather than from ego or head.
Mhm. Mhm. That's right. So you're in 2019 was the first time you were diagnosed with cancer.
Yeah, the doctors are
That's
still very
almost
surprised actually that I'm still walking around and alive.
yeah.
I've
And so
got
you were in Australia then? You were in here in
I was,
Australia?
I was in Australia. I
Mm.
was in Australia, and when I was, recommended the traditional, conventional pathway, I just knew it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't agree with destroying every single healthy part of my body just to gain health. It didn't make sense
Yeah.
to poison myself to health.
Mm.
So I took a different route. And then 2 years later, things got worse, actually. They got better and then they got worse. And only only afterwards I could see how much impact the emotional burden actually bring upon our physical health. I
Mm.
do a lot of emotional healing with my clients now as well, where
Yep.
we healing ancestral pain that is within us. Like there is a story. Are you up for a short little quick story?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and so is everyone else. Anna,
Yeah.
she's had diagnosed with breast cancer a month after her 50th. There we go.
Yeah. Wow. Well, healing is definitely possible. Uh,
She's not 50 anymore, but yeah, tell me what your story. She's 51.
Amazing.
No, she's not. She looks it. I'm just joking. But,
Well, the
tell me
story goes like this, right? Like I'm really interested in, like, I don't know if this rings the bell for anyone, but like epigenetics and subconscious programming, ancestral trauma, how it gets passed down. So I've been
mm,
looking into the study where scientists have been looking at mice to see how far along generations trauma can actually travel. So they
Wow.
took Mama Mouse and they exposed her to the scent of cherry blossom. As she was smelling the scent of cherry blossom, she was exposed at the same time to a small electrical charge. And what happens is when you have this experience and like trauma
Mm.
slash an experience, it gets programmed into your DNA. They wanted to see how far that is actually
Mm.
scientifically provable, generations after. So they took that mama mouse. She was completely traumatized. So every time she smelled only the cherry blossom, she would go into a physical trauma as if she was exposed to this electrical charge. And not just one generation, two generations, offspring, three generations, offspring, but 7 generations after the initial mama mouse
Mm.
this experience, even 7 generations later, her offspring simply by smelling the cherry blossom would go into a traumatic response just as if they were exposed to the electrical charge.
Wow.
Which
Wow.
means, and they do that with mice and mouse,
Mm.
they have a very 95% identical nervous system as us humans.
Mm.
So that's why they tested on
That's why
mice.
they test on mice, yeah.
Which means by the time we are born, we carry at least 7 generations full of subconscious programmed trauma without
Yeah.
even knowing, right? And if we look at Albert Einstein, energy has no beginning, has no end. It cannot be destroyed. It can only be transmuted. So we are now. This is what I'm passionate about.
Mm.
Becoming the generational shapeshifters of reshaping these past generational traumas so we can have a better future.
That's I really absolutely I totally understand what you're saying, and the 7 thing is so important. Yes, the circles, those 7-year cycles,
Yeah,
um, and that's so interesting, isn't it? Because do you sort of feel like it came from your mum somehow then? What
I
happened to
know, I
you?
know,
Yeah.
I know. I think we are all, including you, me, and everybody else who see you on the show, and
Mm.
everybody walking around. Um, Ali saying that's mind blowing. I think
Yeah.
we are the result of all energetic happenings
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
past. We are now the 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 results, the
Yeah, I know what you're saying. The whole shaping, making, the construction.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
what happened in the past.
Mm,
So
of
we have a
absolutely, and that's why it's really important to release, to get rid of trauma, or to get rid of, if you've got, if you've had a upbringing with anything, traumatic or whatever, or you're holding on to stuff, you've got to let go, you've got to get rid of it, because otherwise you're gonna carry it on into the next generation, and,
yeah.
that's it.
We have to
You know
first be aware of it because we like did you, I didn't know this before.
Yeah, yeah,
I had to face, I was doing everything physical. I was doing the detox, I was doing the
right.
enema, the vitamins, the
Mm.
infusions, whatever, everything I could do, supplements on a physical level.
Alkalining and everything, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Fasting and all of that.
Mm,
And I wasn't healing. I wasn't healing until I
mm,
started to look at the emotional part, the emotional aspect. I was like, oh, first it's energy and then it's physical. So let's heal the energy first. Let's look at the frequency. Let's look at the vibration. Let's look at the resonance that I'm putting out into the fields, and
mm,
what is keeping my energy down. Like when I say energy, not my energy, how much energy I have because
yeah,
I have
but your
coffee.
emotional energy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So then I got redirected into my inner world, all the anger that I've been suppressing,
I
all the
can't.
resentment, all the rejection, all the self hate, all the self rejection. Like I was looking in the mirror. I don't know if you're aware of the Hawaiian healing prayer, Ho'oponopono. It says,
No.
I love you. It's just 4 phrases, right?
Yeah.
I love you. I thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And someone told me, like, use this as therapy. Look inside the mirror and try to like say these four phrases to yourself. It took me 6 months without wanting to vomit and run away from myself, because I couldn't face myself and say, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me.
You say
And
it to the mirror, or do you
yeah,
say it? Yeah.
I'd
So
say,
I love you. Tell
yeah,
me that.
I'm
I love you.
sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And you can see,
Lovely.
you can say it in whatever order you want. Like, it's
Forgive
still,
me, and I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and
thank you.
thank you. Wow.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
powerful.
And
It's
Carla's just gone yes with a big yes. I know that she's got connections to someone going through this
mm,
um, horrible sea journey. And I mean, I say horrible sea journey, but it's you're on it, and you started at the beginning of the whole as well. So you must have had to be so strong to battle through all of that crap. You were in Sydney then, but
yeah, I think it's Bob Marley who says, I'm pretty sure it's Bob Marley, a quote. He says, you don't know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have.
wow, yep,
And it's very true, because what else can you do if you can't do anything else but being strong? But with being strong, I've learned being vulnerable is actually being strong. Like, it's a complete
absolutely.
complete different aspect now, where before I thought being strong is not sharing my emotions, because it's not an easy journey, right? And I wasn't sharing the authentic parts, the painful parts. And my family always, especially my family, always saw me as this, oh, if anyone can do it, Ege can do it. But now, this time around, it's
Oh,
like,
because you're the strong one. Yeah, yeah. I wrote down some of the things you said, and so it dismantled the parts of me I had built out of survival.
mm,
Um, you said when we're I've written it wrong. You used to be the good girl, the performer, the strong one, and you didn't ask for help, which is such a female thing. I have to say, it's like no, no. Maybe it's not a female thing only. I have to say, but didn't ask for help because you didn't want to burden anyone. That is the kind of thing which I think a lot of women, or I do that. I don't want to ask for help often. I'll do it, and because if I ask for help, I'm a burden, but I'm also weak, maybe,
mm,
and you, you had to prove that you didn't ask, so prove that she can do it.
yeah,
Permission to weep, surrender. It's okay not to be okay. And vulnerability is not a weakness.
not anymore, no. It was a friend of mine. She said to me, Ege, one day you will recognize that your vulnerability is actually your greatest strength. And I sort of sat with this for years. And it really turns out to be that way, because now, when I share my vulnerability, I get the most resonance, and people coming out and saying, me too, I understand, I can resonate,
Mm-hmm.
which is a dream of mine, because now we're coming all together. We are now
Oh,
all in unity, rather than, hey, look at me, I'm doing this way.
exactly.
uh,
Yes.
and like, giving people the feeling, and that's the last thing I want to do, like that you're better, that I'm better, or that, like, oh, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. But when we share our vulnerability, then we can see one another in each other, and that just increases humanity. It increases love, it increases trust, it increases the feeling of, one love. We are together in this. Doesn't matter
And
what the story looks like.
And and a lot of us here, but a lot of us perhaps at this moment, no matter which way you went, there's a lot of vulnerability around. A lot of people who are lost, and I
Mm,
know the suicide's gone up. So um,
yeah.
eh, people, humans are humans, and we should not be scared to connect. I mean, as long as people want to connect, obviously, but um, yeah, so you're currently no, actually go back to where you so you were by yourself? during the lockdown with this illness?
Yeah, single mom. Single mom. Um, I always, at that time, when it all happened, I also separated myself a lot because at the time I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't, I respect
Mm.
my journey a lot more and a lot more different these days because back in the day, I would say I had some sort of arrogance to it as well. Oh, I'm just gonna go vegan. I'm just gonna juice. I'm just gonna do this, and
Mm.
fine. Like I
You
thought I
take
could,
care of it. Yeah.
yeah, and completely
Okay.
disregarding the emotional part of it, right? But it's really the emotional part that is calling for healing. I can just urge anyone. I was doing cancer coaching for 5 years before I started supporting moms with children to break generational suffering. And I could just see it all over again, all over again. People are thinking, I'm taking this supplement, I'm doing this therapy, I'm doing this, I'm
Mm.
doing this. Why am I not healing? Well, if your choices are simply physical, then we are holistic beings. Like we're not just physical beings. We
Mm.
have to look at our energy, at our emotions, at our mental state, and I believe that mental health is emotional health is mental health, and emotional mental health is physical health. I do strongly believe that.
So, so you already starting to help people that early on, and during the whole must have been in the lockdown time or the crap
Yes,
time. I
yes.
have to say now that you've been talking so much, when I saw you, exactly what you're talking about, you looked like this incredibly strong, physically strong, and like a what do you call it? Just someone who's just powerful, powerful, but very likely inside you. I'm sorry, I don't want to make you upset, but inside you were probably crying. I actually started writing a poem this morning about that. How I don't find I cry outside anymore. I don't cry very much, but I can cry inside
Mm,
because there's always stuff, you know. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but very likely in that point, in that time, you were, and you probably needed so much loving,
mm,
something. Um, there you were with the bloody idiots putting out that whatever they were putting out onto everyone.
mm.
She is a warrior, a warrioress.
What I also learned, that might be interesting to all the beautiful people attending today and watching this on replay or listening to it on replay.
Mm,
After all these years of trying to heal, like there's no trying to heal. It really is the decision of, okay, I'm gonna shift from that old state into a new state that is gonna serve me better, not just me but everyone around me, but also recognizing that you are the medicine, you are the solution,
mm,
that you are literally gifted with the resources within, because we are so powerful, we are such magnificent beings. Like our intentions, our thoughts, our I was oh, this is interesting. Last week I was invited to an energy healing practice, and
mm,
this lady, she had a machine, an electrical acupuncture machine
mm.
that measures your voltage, your bioenergetic voltage.
Yeah.
And it was like two electrodes she gave into my hands, and she said, now, with people with cancer, normally it's like really low, around 20 hertz, I think.
Mm.
Is it like 20, whatever the
Yes.
unit is? I think it's hertz.
Mm.
And she gave it to me, and it was 80. She was like, oh, your voltage is really, really high. I said, oh,
Wow.
that's good. And then because I do meditations, I do healing circles, I do, you
Mm.
know I know the power of energy with shamanic
Mm.
drums. and crystal healing and all of that, like sound healing. Anyway, so I was holding these electrodes, and I put the intention out, and I thought of my daughter. I thought of something really uplifting, high emotions, up the scale emotions, love, light, peace, my daughter. And I was just going really deep, soaking the moment of pure bliss. And I opened my eyes, and it went from 80 to 90 to 95, like my electrical voltage
Wow.
freeze in front of my eyes just by thinking of light, love, daughter.
Mm.
I knew
Yep.
this. I knew this, and I teach this.
That
But
was your own.
seeing it in
Yeah.
front of my eyes as I was doing it was another.
Wow.
So this is how powerful we are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know. I think you mentioned there was it just sort of came to you. Is that really how it was? You sort of just suddenly realized that it has to come from inside, that it
Yeah.
has to come from generations. How did you feel when you went through that? I mean, how did you feel with that? And now what you're actually passing on to people? What was the connection? Was it just like, oh my God, that's what I have to do?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I was doing a lot of things on the physical level, and
Mm,
it
yeah.
was helping me to, like, it was like a band-aid, it was helping me to get by, but I wasn't really profoundly healing the root of the
Yes.
issue. And I became a root cause practitioner because of this, looking at the psycho-emotional causes of your physical symptoms, especially cancer.
Mm.
So when I was diving into those studies, I could see, okay, wow, it's the inner world that makes the outer world happening.
So it was
And
more of a revelation, sort of
yeah,
came to you. Yeah. Yeah.
and how my emotions and my thoughts were influencing my biochemistry, my cellular activity, my
Hmm.
health, essentially. So then I started to, apply these teachings, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, Louise Hay, like, and I was really, really focusing on people who are like big on self healing, who like are
Yeah.
teaching
Mm.
modalities to how you can heal yourself. Because I always believed, yes, I can do this. I can do
Mm.
this. There's
Mhm.
the power that made me. It can also be the power that heals me, right?
Mm.
I knew that my mind can either heal me or kill me, and my mind was very strong. So I was utilizing my mind in a way that it was serving me, and instead of making me sicker. So I had some really, really good times throughout these 6 years. And I knew that my relationship, for example, was not very healthy.
Mm.
My husband, my then husband,
Mm.
and it was one of the hardest things that I had to do. But because he was also the father of my child, and I always had this fairy tale of mother, father, child, and happy
Mm.
family ever after. But it
Yeah.
wasn't. I could physically feel how it was keeping me in a loop of dis-ease.
Mhm.
Out of
Yeah.
ease. My body was out of
Yes.
ease because I was constantly in fight and flight. I was constantly in stress. I was constantly on tiptoes. I was
Yeah.
constantly trying to please so I can belong and be loved.
Never
And
get you weren't being true to you. You weren't being you. And
that's exactly.
that's very, very it's very common, and, it's a very big thing. Like you said, you've got quite a young daughter, to actually recognize that, and obviously you're better off. Anna feels like crying. Cry. Don't feel you have to hold it in, Anna.
Yeah.
Seriously, this is actually, it's very, very interesting, but also it's so close to the emotions. So, yeah, anyway, carry on. But am I able to ask you where you are now on your journey? So how long have you been starting these? Tell me about your journey and also what you're doing.
Yeah. I was doing, you know, I was doing when I say very good, it doesn't mean
Mm.
that I was always good all the time, but I was I don't know if the word is managing. I was managing really well up until, I would say, December last year,
Mm.
6 months ago. And I knew that 2025 is going to be a different year. I knew that 2025 is going to be the year where something comes to the closure and where I up level, where
Mm.
my personal evolution will take another higher place for me to, apply, learn, and grow from. And I knew that with any up leveling of your soul, there's death. Yeah, part of you dies before you
Mm.
up level. I felt
Yes. Yes. I know what you're talking about. Yes. And that's called going through the darkness before the dawn sort of thing, and absolutely. Yeah.
and
Now I'm
yeah,
gonna cry.
I felt like before we got started today, like I felt like, yeah, there's gonna be some tears because
Mm.
it's a very authentic, vulnerable share. Of course,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, things got really bad, Rohanna, really, really
Mm.
bad. And last year, I had this for a while, and the cancer had changed over the few like last few years. And last year I was diagnosed. So they look at the cancer itself, at the cells, and then they look at the characteristics.
Mm.
And then the doctor said that it mutated into this really aggressive breast cancer, triple negative, which is
Oh my god.
triple negative is basically a death sentence.
Triple
Uh,
negative, never heard of it.
yeah,
Never heard.
it's the one that you don't want to have.
Yeah, no.
Um, but
Have you had to have surgery then?
yeah, so I had
Mm.
twice. I had surgery at the
Mm.
beginning, and then
E
when it
yeah.
appeared the third time at the same place, yeah, my name is Ege. It's like
Okay.
reggae,
Okay.
Ege.
Okay.
Um, when it appeared the third time, I decided not to go for the surgery because
Mm.
I knew it wasn't the solution, and I applied what I've learned through the root cause practice, and I healed my breast cancer. My breast cancer completely disappeared, but it was in other places, right? And that was the issue. Anyway,
Ah.
so it mutated. Just recently, I found out that it mutated from the most aggressive to a less aggressive, and my body was actually making more healthy cells than cancer cells. Where not long ago it was the other way around.
Mm.
So now, where I'm at is, yeah, it's like I say to people, it's like the ocean, like with ebb and flow. I've had, since I'm in Germany, in Berlin, I had probably the darkest nights of my
Mm.
soul. Like it, I've never been so vulnerable, so poor health, so bad
Mm.
uh, since I've arrived in March. I'm now in the rebuilding phase. Things are going better.
Mm. Wow.
And they look better. My immune system is better. The cancer has changed to less aggressive, and it looks like, I went to the hospital because of other, like, I had complications after the treatment, and they told me I'm not going to be around for very long, like very short time, and they told me that my daughter should come and spend the last little while with me, and that was like 2.5 months ago.
So
And
you were, and that was in Australia that you had
yeah,
the surgeries
in Germany. No, I
in
didn't have a surgery.
Germany?
I didn't have a surgery since 2021.
Yeah.
Uh, but my health has transformed in the last two
Mm.
and a half months to better, like completely opposite of what they actually had said to me. So what I'm trying to make a point with is, doesn't matter what other people, especially the white people, the people in white coats tell you,
Yep.
like at the end of the day, you have the last word. Like your body is here to serve you, but you also have to serve
Mm.
your, you know, like it's a corporation. It's like a co-creation with your mind, with your body, but you can actually direct your body
Yeah.
how you want things to be, and people forget this power.
I mean, I think that obviously cancer is one of the biggest thing to do that, but, I think you can do that in lots of things, and that's That's actually I told you about Fiona. She's very much a believer of that we can heal ourselves. She had Hashimoto's, and
Yeah.
she, like, deals with all the fascia stuff, but there's a few people. I'm trying to think the other person who I had on recently who also was talking like that, and it's true. Might be Heather Bruce. Um, but yeah, we just rely and we just think, no, no, we're just in the past used to, you know, this is where we should be, this is the way we should be doing things. But
Mm. Well, first of all, um, what I would also advise everyone, if they're open to advice, is it's got to feel right. It's got to feel like it aligns
yeah,
with you, and never, ever, 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 ever. This is a difficult one. Make a decision based on fear,
yeah,
because it's actually fear that is the biggest killer. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's fear, and
And like Mantra says there, Donna, you should never, they should never tell you when you are leaving our world. It depends on the individual. So that's your, absolutely.
100%. And when we decide to take complete responsibility and ownership and
Mm,
embody this power that runs through us, then the prognosis can definitely be like, it's okay to accept your diagnosis, but you don't have to accept your prognosis. And there is
yeah.
a really extremely inspiring lady. Her name is Anita Mojani. Have you heard of Anita Mojani?
I'm not sure. It explain a bit about them because
Yes, she grew up in like this multicultural short story, multicultural world with like really religious Indian family, and she there was like an arranged marriage at play, and she didn't want to. She wanted to go and study the world, and
yeah,
like she wanted to be free, right?
yes, didn't want to conform to what the yeah.
That's it. And her best friend got diagnosed with cancer, and Anita started to really fear cancer, started to take all these supplements, but because she was so scared, and this is what fear does to you, uh,
Mm,
she couldn't enjoy life, and she started to be afraid of life. She was like, oh,
mm,
the cars give you cancer, microwave give you cancer, alcohol, smoking, the food, the packaged food, everything gives you cancer. And she started to fear life, right? And what happened is she was diagnosed with cancer herself, with lymphoma,
wow.
cancer of the lymph nodes. And what happened was she was literally dying, 40 kilos in the hospital bed, in her organs started to shut down, and she was dying, and she was with one foot in this world, in this realm, and with one foot in the other realm, where
Mm,
she met her dad, who passed away 10 years ago, the soul of her dad, where
yeah.
she always felt like shame and anger with her dad. And they made peace in this other realm. The dad said, I'm so sorry that I was, shaming you because
Mm.
you didn't marry the man that I chose for you. And the first time in her life, Anita felt unconditional, pure love in that realm. And she was asked if she wanted to stay in that blissful state, or if
Oh
she
my
wanted to
goodness.
come back.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the dad said, you have to come back and tell the people the power of unconditional love, and you can't die just yet. And
No, she had a journey. She had a thing to do. It's like, Dazzle when she was passed through and she was and they said, "No, you have to go that way." It's, I truly believe this. That's incredible. Yeah, and I haven't heard about her.
so she now travels the world. She has no more cancer. She came back into her life, into her body,
Mm,
and shares her story, and she has no more cancer. And there is this place, and you and I, we don't really have exchanged too many stories, of course. But when I was 13 years old, I had so cancer is not the only challenging journey that I had. But when I was 13 years old, I had an accident where I died for 6 minutes.
oh my
And I
god.
remember being on this other side where
Mm,
you do get the choice. Actually, I remember all of that.
as a
And
6-year-old.
13
Gosh.
years, I was
Oh,
13.
13.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for 6 minutes I was
6 minutes.
yeah.
My goodness. Wow.
But yeah, fear is the opposite to love.
And
My
do you remember after that then feeling different being on this earth?
Yeah, yeah. So waking up from that, because I was also a bit like, I had a very life was not easy, growing up in Germany. I had like
Mm,
Nazis who were like bullying me and at school, and I was always very tall, so children were making fun of me. I had
yeah,
glasses. My lunch looked different than to the
yeah,
German lunches.
probably your accent or your just your looks, yeah.
Yeah, my looks mainly, not my accent so much because
Mm.
I grew up in Germany, so I spoke
Actually, no, you
German.
have a German accent, yeah, right.
But when I was asked in this other realm whether I wanted to stay, just like Anita actually got asked, "Do you want to stay or you want to come back?" I
Mm,
didn't want to come back because life, as I knew, was such a big suffering. It was it was so difficult to just be, because I felt always this really intense love radiating from my heart. But when I looked at the world, my classmates, my parents, I always saw separation. I always saw suffering. I always saw judgment. I always saw like people trying to get each other, being better at each other, competition. Like
yeah,
I
competition, yeah.
never saw this
Well,
love being able to being expressed freely without being hurt.
well,
That was
maybe you're the reason you had to come back, I mean, the strength, even though there was so much going on inside. I mean, even what you're going through now, you can't. You are strong, even if you're weak in your strength. Sometimes vulnerable in your strength, you're going on an incredible thing, and you must have, like, obviously what you've been talking about. But you've, it's almost like you're not gonna look back until it's over.
exactly. Yeah, no, I'm not.
Mm.
There's no looking back.
Yeah. So you're now running workshops. Is that online?
Yeah, I do a lot of things online. I
Mm.
have a sisterhood of beautiful clients. It was always my vision and my dream that we heal together. Like as I'm
Yeah.
healing myself, I inspire other people to heal, and we heal together,
Mm.
and then it's just amplified, right? The magnitude of being together and how the ripple effect has on each other. You've
Mm.
seen people coming together and meditating, and what happens when
The
we come
power.
together, the
Yeah.
power of it. So I'm a very collective being. So I was
Yeah.
always having this vision. Let's do this together. Let's heal by healing ourselves. Let's heal the world one by one, and let's share all the things that we've been suppressing, not just in this lifetime, but even generational lifetimes. Let's bring this shit out to the surface,
Mm.
and let's detach from it. Let's cut the cords. Let's be seen and be heard, all these things, because for centuries and generations we've been deafened, we've been beaten up, we've been burned, we've been killed, and we lost our trust in ourselves, of our intuitive whisper, of the connection with the earth, with Mother Gaia, with being one with nature. We lost all of
Mm.
that. And
Yep.
let's reconnect by being real and vulnerable and
And
heal.
that's the true thing we have to learn now, and that's what we are learning. And even like, feeling whatever, bad, sad, like nothing's going to work, anything negative, you have to keep going past that, pushing through that, and believe in yourself. I
Mm,
like you said before, the fear, and that's the thing. As we know, that's the thing they've been pushing on everyone for the last few years. I
yeah.
had a sort of strange altercation on Facebook today, but I was actually being passive aggressive. I was allowed to be, because I put up a thing, looking for a director for one of the plays, and there's a lovely woman who was. This one woman came on and said, "Does your company still have that, the rhetoric of anti-government and anti-vaxxers?" And like, what do you mean, my company? I'm an individual because I'm an immunosuppressant. Blah, blah, blah." And I was just trying to get her to see how ridiculous she was. It's that old theory thing of, well, you're vaccinated and you're whatever, look after yourself. Why are you worried about me if you believe in it?
Yeah.
It's so insane. And I didn't allow myself to get bothered by her, to be honest. Um, just I just saw it as in. I'm sending ho. How do you pronounce Ho'oponopono to you, amazing ladies? I love you, Yigi. eh, in Rahana.
Um,
Please forgive me. Thank you, thank you. Who's that? Sunny Cat. I don't know who Sunny Cat is. Zen mantra saying she can feel your energy. Yeah, it's true. Feel we are perhaps somehow have to heal each other, like you said, and joining. And it's so interesting because you've been talking about you as feeling like such a single person when you were younger, and a lone person, and feeling like you were never fitted in, and this and that, and yet you've got the heart of all they had to do was come up and join you.
mm, mm. At Epic, I just remembered something really funny. At Epic, um, because there were so many people and we were all aligned in our vibrational frequency,
Mm,
I could
yes.
like I lost myself and I became we. I became the collective.
Yeah.
I really felt that really strongly, and I had like really extremely high intuitive powers running through me as an instrument, coming through me,
Mm.
uh, downloads, and it was incredible. It was incredible. I was so high from that collective vibe.
Oh, absolutely. I was only there for the weekend and I felt it. Yeah. But
And when people ask me, this is so funny. When people ask me, what is your name? And I said, my name is We, but only with one E. So funny.
oh,
Because
that's cute.
with my name, Ege, a lot of people say egg. And I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's not egg.
Ege, Ege, Ege,
It's egg.
reggae, Ege.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get lots of different things too. I just have to say like banana, Rahana. But yeah, reggae and banana.
Yeah, we are reggae and banana. Goes well
Yeah.
together.
Um, well, yes. Were you there for a long time at the Epic? Did you camp there and
Well,
everything?
I went twice. Like I went on my own
Mm,
just to check it out to see the vibe,
mm,
and I was like, okay, my daughter has to be here, and she was at the time she was 6 or 5, 6,
mm.
and then I went back to Sydney and got her. And one thing she learned was like my body, my choice. It was so funny because her dad tried to get her into the car, and she was like, "This is my body, my choice. Don't I get, I get in the car if I want to." It's like okay,
Yeah,
okay,
good.
but yeah,
That's a
I
great
went.
thing to keep learning that. So is she going to school in Berlin? Or
No, she's not here with me now.
oh,
She's in
she's not there.
Australia.
She's in yeah, that.
But in the past, she was here, and she
Mm,
came for the Easter holidays. She came, but I'm
mm,
planning to be back in 1 month. Actually, in my diary, I'm envisioning and visualizing and manifesting to be back
mm.
in the first week of August. And yeah,
In Madari, where's that? That's New South Wales somewhere.
Sydney.
Oh, is it? Okay, in Sydney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
northern beaches of Sydney. I live.
Oh, okay, okay. I don't know Sydney very well. Okay. Well, then you might be able to even do a physical workshop with Fiona because she's going
Yeah.
to come back from Indonesia. Anyway, I'll talk about that afterwards. I'm
Mm.
doing a plug for Fiona. Um, but yeah, I mean, you really are incredible. Is there anything? Do you want to talk a little bit more about these? How people would who comes to your workshops, I suppose, and
Mm.
how they would find out.
Yeah, so my workshops are thank you for asking. My workshops are basically all the different tools, healing modalities that I've studied, learned, applied, and have been very powerful. And one
Mm,
of them is actually breath work. I'm a breathwork facilitator, and I combine it with my root cause practice. So this breath work that I do is a combination of hypnosis, timeline therapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and psycho-emotional root cause practice. It's not just normal breath work that
mm,
is all
mhm,
over the place at the moment. So it's really profound. It goes really fast into your subconscious mind, and then I bring up my shamanic drum and my sound bowls, and we bring the mother of life to come and support us, and which is not a physical mother, but it's the energy of mother life, mother Gaia,
mhm.
we reconnecting back to the essence of the power of unity, the power of nature, the power of life, the life force energy. So when you say workshop, yeah, I run these workshops to educate people of the power that they have within them
Yeah.
innately, and we just need to activate them by tweaking a few things, by allowing ourselves to be that powerful. Because when you're powerful, you you are being seen from by yourself, like from
Yeah.
yourself. There's no more hiding, there's no more playing small, there's no more pretending, there's no more pleasing. Like, you show up fully for yourself in your fullest power.
And
and
believe. Yes.
and as you
Believe.
do it, you actually grow, you expand. Like, it's beyond measurements that you can ever imagine yourself. You take up space in your for yourself. Not It's not like that you showing off in front of other people, but like,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
awaken your own power.
And if you're in your true
True.
essence, and you're in your real, absolutely authentic,
That's so
people will
true.
recognize that. If you're
Yeah.
not, they recognize that as well.
Yeah.
If it's just egotistical, if it's just someone spouting,
Just
hey, look at me, I've whatever, it's, you can tell. Yeah.
energy speaks louder than words. 100%. You
Mm.
feel it, and
Yeah. I see an Earthworm Woman festival happening somewhere.
yes, yes.
With all these
This
amazing people,
this
with their tents.
mm, mm.
Oh, I've got to have a spa part. I've got to have the water part as well. So maybe it's somewhere with water. Oh my goodness, that'd be amazing.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Um, yes, mantra. Yes, you can come. Look, I'm gonna wrap this up now. We've only got 3 minutes, and you've done incredibly well because you told me you've actually done your back as well today.
Mm,
So I really, really loved talking to you. I feel like you just give so much, and I yeah, I want to talk to you. Well, not tonight, but talk to you more and keep in touch.
yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, again, for coming on and sharing a really vulnerable part of you. So I
Yes.
wish you everything well and happiness and beautifulness to you.
Thank you, Rahina.
And thank you everyone for all your beautiful comments. And ice bath. You can only have an ice bath if you have the sauna parts and all of that as
I
well.
do ice baths as well, actually, breathwork and ice baths. And
Yeah.
when you asked me about my workshop, I do it in person, but I also do online 5-day workshops, and they're free, completely free. I give them away for elevating
It's
consciousness and
two two
humanity.
two people watching. So that's a good number as well. 222. Um, so go to your page.
Yeah, you will always
Um,
hold
your
on.
last name. How do you spell that?
DEM
DEMIRK.
IRK
AN.
AN for Nelly.
That's her page. Sorry.
Beautiful.
Okay, I'll let you go, and all the best. Have a
Everyone.
beautiful Berlin day.
Yay.
Thanks so
It's
much, everyone. See you
summertime
soon.
over here.
Oh,
Sun is shining.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good for Berlin.
Much love.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.